Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Coalesce's Fairy Gaming. Today, we're starting off continuing right where I left off in my first save of Medieval Dynasty. I've been tasked with retrieving Unigoth's scythe from a woman named Ida. Fortunately, she's easy to find in the nearby village of Borowo, but retrieving the scythe was trickier than Unigoth led me to believe. When I find her, Ida tells me that Unigoth not only lost his scythe to her, but all of his pocket money in a game of riddles. It's clear Ida has a thing for this game because she takes the chance to give me the scythe for free if I can answer 3 riddles correctly, which I do. The riddles were fairly easy, but I'm not going to deny I had someone helping me. I've never been good at riddles, and I wasn't going to take any chances. What disappears the second you say its name? Silence. Feed me and I live, yet give me a drink and I die. What am I? Fire. I can fly but have no wings. I can cry but I have no eyes. Wherever I go, darkness follows me. What am I? The correct answer is a cloud. And with that, I successfully retrieved the scythe. When I get back to Unigoth, he tells me Sambor has been asking for me, so I run off to his hut to talk to him. I'm met with an impatient and frantic Sambor. Apparently he asked for me because of an owl, which hoots all night and disrupts his sleep. As it would figure, Sambor wants me to kill it. During our conversation, he reveals that he doesn't kill anything anymore as a way to atone for his bloody past. In fact, his pacifist lifestyle is so drastic these days that Sambor doesn't even eat meat. That being said, I agree to help Sambor with his owl problem. As I was walking along the back pathways, the alleged owl was pretty easy to find. As it turns out, it was just a man named Awas who was hired by someone by the name of Woolrad to come by occasionally with Sambor pretending to be an owl. When he found out who it was he was messing with, Awas apologized profusely and practically begged for forgiveness before he took off. It looks like Sambor is well known around these parts for his rather pleasant demeanor. When I go back to Sambor and fill him in, he recognizes the person who paid Mr. Owl. Basically, he tells me Woolrad was a part of their pack once upon a time, and to return tomorrow because he has quite the special treat for me to deliver to this Woolrad. Since I have to wait until the next day to make the delivery for Sambor, I decided to head home to run a few errands. To pass the time, I took care of some tree stumps now that I've got a shovel. I also restocked supplies in my villager's house, and then I put together a couple of small farming fields in preparation for when I can eventually snag some fertilizer and seeds. The sooner my future wife can accomplish her dream of farming to her heart's content, the better. By the time I finished those few errands, it was technically the next day and I was able to head out. From Sambor's hut, Tutki was over 1,000 meters away, but eventually I made it there. Right now my goal is to up my reputation points so I can put down more buildings and accrue more villagers, so I decided to do a few side quests before fighting Woolrad. Woolrad knew who I was the moment I found him. When I try to give him the parcel, he tells me to trash it because, and I quote, "Well, taking that I know this guy for over 20 years and that I can smell this parcel from over here, I can guarantee you that it contains his feces." I don't know how my character couldn't tell, but we'll sum it up to Rasimir being a naive 18-year-old boy. As I talk with Woolrad, I learn that before his passing, Uncle Ewarden was the Castellan before he died. I find it interesting that Unigoth didn't tell me that, but I'll be waiting to see how that plays out. Before Woolrad tells me about the pack, he enlists me with a mission. Apparently, he wants to build a big ol' maze because Tootkie has a wolf problem and Woolrad needs 1,000 logs. Given that you can only get up to 3 logs per one tree, I should have known better. But I've always been a little gullible. I don't think I get through 5 trees before I go back to Woolrad, hoping it was just another one of his practical jokes. Unfortunately, it was. After Woolrad admits to his little prank, he gives me a real quest. His family has a cow named Marilla who'd been in the family for years, but since she wasn't providing milk anymore, Woolrad's wife has been nagging him to kill her. However, Woolrad has sentimental ties with Marilla, so he has me do it in his stead. After I returned to Woolrad with word of Marilla's passing, he finally gives me a story about the pack. In his youth, Woolrad was a common crook. He would travel through various taverns, cheating at games of dice. One day, he plays a game with none other than Eordan, who knew what Woolrad was up to. All he did was smile. After that, Woolrad started following the pack. Sambor had threatened him to stop, and when Woolrad didn't listen, Sambor even beat him up. Still, that didn't deter Woolrad, and eventually he was able to follow closer and closer, until the day he was truly a member of their group. It's at the end of Woolrad's story that I learned there was another member of the pack nobody had told me about yet. Kestrel. She was Jordan's right hand, so it's interesting nobody has brought her up yet, right? Woolrad recommends that I go ask Unigost about Kestrel, so I head back to Gustovia. But before I speak with Unigost, I decide to bring another villager back to my settlement. One of the women sitting at the campsite is good with hunting, so I go with her and resume the story quest. Unigost reacts interestingly when I bring up Kestrel's name, stuttering and pretending to be casual, which my character picks up on. Still, Unigost tells me the story, which turns out to be heavy. But it didn't start out that way. One day the pack, exhausted from a heist, stole some horses and left behind some money. However, the owner, none other than Kestrel, made the horses stop with a single whistle. Kestrel threatened the pack with a bow and arrow that if they didn't get off her horses and start running, she'd shoot them. But Jordan, pissed off, starts giving Kestrel a piece of his mind, so she shoots him. Sambor and Unigost loved what happened so much that they begged Kestrel to join the pack. At first, Jordan hated her, all because Kestrel was the one woman that didn't fall for his charms. So he made a classic player move and decided to make a game of it. Eventually, Kestrel and Jordan started hooking up, but after a while, Jordan grew bored, so he developed a new game. He started fooling around with other women, and the point of this game was to do it without Kestrel finding out. On the other side, Unigost had been in love with Kestrel from the very moment he set eyes on her. Knowing what Jordan, his best friend, had been doing, Unigost decided that he wouldn't hide his feelings for Kestrel anymore. So they began having an affair in secret. It was messy. Unigost loved Kestrel, but Kestrel loved Jordan, and then Kestrel got pregnant. Unigost started distancing himself from Kestrel, the unknown of the baby's fatherhood killing him. Everything came crashing down when Kestrel had a stillbirth. After that, their grief was so severe that neither Unigost nor Jordan could stay with Kestrel. After learning the full story, my character decides he needs to find Kestrel, but Unigost doesn't know where she is. He did say that Sambor might know, though. Before I speak with Sambor, I wanted to go to my settlement and make sure everything was in order for my new villager. However, I learned that while a house can hold 3 people, you can't assign 2 adult females in one house. Since I'm at my building max, that means my newest villager remains homeless. So all I could do at this point was hope that I could either get married and move my wife into my house, or I get enough reputation points to increase the building max before my new villager gets too displeased with the settlement. With the villager problem taking precedence over Kestrel, I decide to go to Jazerica. I receive word that that's where the exotic vendor is, and that's the person you want to find if you want to get gifts for your future wife. However, I learned that his prices were far too expensive for me at that point in my game, so it looks like I'll have to raise affection with Ludwika the old-fashioned and slower way for now via flirting. With the quick route to marriage no longer an option, I had to go with the second route, earn reputation points. Fortunately, the map tells you where there are possible side quests, so I go to Hornica. Unfortunately, I arrive there too early, so I wander around the village while I wait for the villagers to wake up. While I'm wandering, I stumble across a horse stable. At this point in the game, I'm very much over how often I have to make long treks, so seeing them gave me some hope for the future where I can afford one. After I fulfill the side quests in Hornica, I have nothing else to do, so I finally see Sambor. Unfortunately for me, the man wants a bunch of food in return for Kestrel's whereabouts. He wants me to bring him 20 pieces each of beetroot, onion, cabbage, and carrot, so I think it'll be quite a while before I can meet Kestrel. I go home with hopes that I can somehow tear down one of my buildings, but to no avail. My new villager's mood keeps getting lower and lower, but at this point, I'm out of options. I flirt with Ludwika while I'm home, still working on upping that affection, and it's when I'm done that my villager leaves the settlement. And with her, some of my reputation points leave as well. I'm more encouraged to raise my reputation now more than ever, so I leave to find more side quests. And afterward, I buy some fertilizer. I earned a small amount of seeds from a past side quest or two, so I can at least start my farm. With both fertilizer and some seeds in tow, I head home to plant some crops. It's not much, just a handful of some flax and onion, but I'm hoping the end results will yield enough that I can turn it around and make a profit. Buying all that fertilizer was expensive, and sadly I didn't have enough to buy more seeds. Right now, the biggest end result of my farm is to be able to grow all the crops that Sambor wants. I don't remember where I got it, but I also had seeds for an apple tree, so I built a small orchard field. A part of me is hoping crops don't take too long to grow, but given how realistic this game is, I have a feeling I won't be getting that wish. With that done, I think that's it for today's video. Bye!